Welcome to my virtual campground, everybody. I want to invite you back in time with me now, back to the days of knights and quests and damsels in distress as I share with you the tale of how the mute knight found himself a bride. In long ago medieval times, a king once had a son, whose name his subjects all knew not, for the boy was a silent one. He does not speak, his father said. Never did, poor lad, but see the virtues of a mute, his words are never bad. And when the lad turned 21, he was to be a knight, but members of the royal court first put up a royal fight. A knight who cannot speak his vows? 'Tis an honor that's most odd. But the king said, I shall speak his vows, voice his vows, he'll nod his pledge to God. Then several more did doubt the king, and when all was done and said, the great debate was ended when the king whisked off their heads. And so the lad became a knight, and needed him a wife to spur him on in battle and inspire him for life. But alas, not alas, would have him. None could bear the shame to lie with him most every night and never know his name. This did perplex the young prince and made him fill with rage. A knight by recognition, he still felt himself a lowly page. One day, the knight walked all alone upon the sandy beach, when before him stood a damsel fair, just there within his reach. But as he schemed to charm her, a giant there did pass, who also spied the damsel fair and absconded with the lass. The young prince thought unto himself as he watched her dragged away, I will be a brave knight true if this giant I can slay. And so he strode up to the beast and tapped him on the back and said, Don't worry, it's not your computer. It was unintelligible to the giant as well. The giant turned to him and laughed. He pointed with his hand. He laughed so hard he doubled up. The dame dropped to the sand. The brave young prince, he drew his sword. He swung it then with ease. He cut the off-guard giant's neck. Its head rolled to the sea. But the battle was not over. The giant was not dead. He felt around upon the ground until he found his head, and then he placed it on his shoulders, but he did not place it right. At times, he could not see his foe. When he could not fight. When his body faced into the east, his face was facing west. The young prince took this as his gain in the nearing of his quest, and when the giant wasn't looking, he kicked him where it hurts. Oh! A moment hence, the beast limped off, and this the dame observed. The brave young prince, he looked upon the damsel fair and gay, but unable to make overtures, he turned and looked away. Well, what is this? The lass said she. Pay service to this dame. You've saved me from this churlish knave, yet I know not your name. He looked at her with abject gaze, his face so fine and young, and when that brave knight feigned to speak, she saw he had no tongue. Oh, that is well, the lass said she, good still can come of this. I'll have thee just as any man, we just shall not French kiss. On hearing this, the brave knight's heart swelled for its good fortune, a damsel who could accept him and do all his talking for him. He followed her back home and found she was a lady true, with great riches, her own palace, and a wandering minstrel too. She said, why don't you stay a week, or two, or all your life? He nodded that he would, and then he took her for his wife. It was thus the mute knight valiant wed the Duchess of Devonshire, who loved that knight with all her might, though her subjects found it queer. They lived in bliss for all their days, and by their vows abided, held conversations rich and deep, though admittedly one-sided. How the mute knight found himself a bride. Thank you very much.